There's a man who lives in a quiet house. Same drive to work, same seat at the table, same paycheck. Nothing is wrong. He's safe, he's respected, he's comfortable. And that's part of the problem. Because nothing is breaking, but nothing is growing either, no one ever told him to stop dreaming. No one ever forced him to give up. He just learned slowly that it was easier not to push. So we stopped asking for more, stopped risking embarrassment, stopped stepping into rooms where he might fail. And after years, he can't point to the moment when it happened. There was no crash, there was no collapse, there was no warning, just a quiet trade. Potential for predictability, growth for peace. And one day he wakes up with a strange weight in his chest. Not pain, not fear, but regret. In today's episode, we're going to be talking all about the tools, tips, and tricks to avoid that regret. I'm Dom. This is the Fi Guys. Let's get right into it. Welcome to Fi Friday Feedback on the Fi Guys podcast, where we recap key takeaways from our most recent episode in order to help cement the information in your mind. We'll also be providing insights to burning questions from our community members in the viewer mailbag.
Remember, the Fi Guys podcast is your trusted source for all things financial independence, and we're thrilled to have you here with us on this journey. So whether you're listening while commuting, at the gym, or just relaxing at home, we're here to provide you with the knowledge and inspiration you need to achieve your financial goals. The Fi Guys is a podcast dedicated to providing general information and insights on a wide range of wealth-related topics. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not constitute personalized financial advice.
The content provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be considered a substitute for professional financial advice. Your financial situation and goals are unique, and the information provided here may not be applicable or suitable for your specific circumstances.
We, the host and the guests of the Fi Guys, are not acting as your financial advisor. We are not aware of your individual financial situations, risk tolerance, or investment objectives. Any decisions or actions you take based on the information provided on this podcast are your own and made at your own risk. I may be a financial advisor, but I am not your financial advisor. And now that the lawyers are happy, let's get started.
Alrighty, boys. Well, we've got an interesting one today. We are finishing where we left off on part one. I guess not necessarily a part one. Typically, Friday's episodes are more of a recap on Monday's episodes. If you didn't see Monday, well, that's a good thing, actually. I don't want you to see Monday's episode. A weird take, right? A podcaster recommending that you don't go listen to another piece of content. Yes, don't go listen to it. It's not a bit. I'm not trying to do reverse psychology or anything like that. The reason I'm saying this is because I happen to have had a pretty nasty sunburn. And for an episode where Chris wasn't in there, there's no switching back and forth between the handsome Chris and the lobster that I am, right? So I'm grateful that thankfully the tan disappeared, or the sunburn disappeared the next day. It was so bizarre, very bizarre. But enough about the story time on why you shouldn't go back and watch that last episode on Monday about comfort and how it is one of the most expensive things you can ever succumb to. Today, we're going to be talking about the tips and tricks, as I mentioned previously. So with that being said, let's get right into it. It's going to be a solo pod today. Congratulations. You've stumbled upon a rare solo pod. There we go. So yeah, let's get right into it. So let's talk a little bit about the brain, right? We got 6 points today. Let's start off with point number 1. Why does the brain love comfort, right? It's not just, it's who I am. It's like, no. The brain actually loves comfort, right? So we're going to get into a little bit more of the psychology of this. We're going to get more into the philosophical stuff of this and a little bit more of the brass tacks and solutions to not necessarily rewrite your brain, but tips and tricks to work together with your brain, right? So the brain is wired for survival, not necessarily for potential, right? We talk about it all the time. The brain is actually a very complex machine, right? It's based on when we were cavemen, right? We had to survive. We had to really keep ourselves alive. And those things are still in our brains, right? The brain loves predictability, familiar routines, and emotional neutrality, right? Maybe you have experienced some neutrality in your life, right? You don't necessarily like the super highs and then the super lows, right? But growth requires uncertainty, as you know, and as you very well know, it is quite oftentimes painful, right? You ever try to get bigger arms at the gym? My arms are sore right now because of that exact fact, because it is painful to grow. The brain does not like temporary incompetence, and it doesn't like the social and egotistical disconnect that you receive when you're trying to push past what you believe is possible and what you currently are. Now, Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Big shout out to his book. I had it on my desk last podcast. It's in the kitchen now. There's another point from last Monday. But yes, what stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way. So let's reframe that. So discomfort isn't a signal to stop, right? Now, granted, if you're in the gym and you're doing an exercise and you're feeling like you're about to hurt yourself, totally stop, right? The blanket disclaimer, don't come after me if you hurt yourself doing something dangerous, right? Or doing something very hard. Um, but remember, right? The reframe is that discomfort isn't necessarily a signal to stop. It's a signal that you're on the edge of expansion. They always say, and I know I'm sorry, if you're not a gym rat, it's okay. You're still going to love this episode, but a lot of my references today are going to be gym related. Okay. So when I'm saying that discomfort isn't a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're at the edge of expansion. What I'm kind of relating that to is, say you're on a bench press, right? And you're giving it your all, right? But it's the reps where it's the most difficult. That's where you grow. Muhammad Ali had this really wonderful quote that I always love. I always think about. And they asked him, "How many sit ups are you doing?" He's like, "I don't start counting till it hurts." Right. And I was like, oh, that's such a flip, right? Because when it hurts, those are the ones that do count, not the easy ones in the beginning. You don't get jacked from the warm up, you get jacked from pushing yourself to the absolute limit. Comfort trains the brain to believe that you're fragile. Discomfort trains the brain to believe that you can handle this. Here's your actionable step for this week, and we're going to have one for each point. So take notes. Identify one low risk, keyword low risk, identify one key low risk discomfort to practice this week. Maybe it's a hard conversation. Maybe it's a new habit, a new skill, or delayed gratification. I hope that you take this time to pause the episode and think, what could that be for you, right? It doesn't have to be, hey, I'm taking a piano this week. It can be, right? Good on you. But it can be something as simple as, rather than when I wake up in the morning, I instantly check TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, right? How about I just start checking it at noon? And that doesn't count if you wake up at noon, right? That's not a little hack in there, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Build discomfort into your life so that when life puts discomfort on you, you're ready for it. Let's get into point number 2. Comfort as a psychological sedative. So this one's going to be a little bit interesting. I hope you enjoyed the first point. I know I did. Let's get into the second one. So comfort is often an emotional anesthesia. Maybe you've recognized this. Maybe you sometimes dress it up as it's recovery. I'm just recovering from what I'm doing. But we both know that the body can go through an immense amount of trouble, pain, tasks, and anything that life can really throw at it before you need comfort. And I think we are all, myself included, we're all ringing that comfort bell way too early. David Goggins has a quote that I really love that he says, when you think you're done, and I mean done, you're really only 40% of the way there. So let's talk a little bit about these relief behaviors, and maybe you connect with some of them. And Maybe I connect with some of them too. So, starting off strong, doom scrolling, emotional spending, avoiding decisions, and staying quote unquote busy, but unchallenged. So, Seneca once said that it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Maybe that is true. Comfort doesn't steal your time, it dulls your urgency. And urgency is what keeps life going. If you don't have any urgency to do anything, well, then you're not going to get anything done. That's always like the quarrel of, "Oh, I wish I could live forever." Well, it's like if you could live forever, then your time wouldn't be worth anything. But since our bodies will die out soon, right? Hopefully, not too soon. That gives us the urgency. It's like the difference between if you gave your mom plastic flowers on Valentine's Day versus real flowers on Valentine's Day. Chances are she will appreciate, not chances are, she'll definitely appreciate the ones that are living more than the ones that have never lived. Because the ones that are living, well, to live also means to die, right? So let me ask, when you're going through something in life where you're debating comfort, ask yourself, is this restoring me? Or is this helping me avoid something important? For me, I used to be a big time stress eater. If you tuned into any of my live streams this week on my gaming channel, Dominic James Gaming, we're playing this game called Cuphead. And it's like Super Mario Bros. If you've never heard of Cuphead. It's like Super Mario Bros. If Super Mario Bros. Was on crack, right? It's a very difficult game for me. And I had this packet of Swedish fish. And I literally every level, I'm just burning through Swedish fish. I mean, I'm stress eating because the game is so difficult, right? It's driving me up the wall. And it's one of those things, it's like, this is why I don't have candy in the house typically. This is why I don't have snacks in the house typically, right? Because I'm trying to get away from that habit, so I just don't buy it. And that's one of those things where you have to ask yourself, is it restoring me? Or is it helping me avoid something important? You know? So before choosing comfort, ask, what discomfort am I postponing? Right? If you don't name it, comfort automatically wins. Unfortunately. I hate to say it, but it's true. So, yeah, what discomfort are you postponing? And typically, at least in my life, and I'm sure you'll see some similarities in yours. So, before choosing comfort, like I said, what discomfort am I postponing? And if you don't name it, comfort automatically wins. So, make sure you are actively stating what you're trying to avoid, what you are avoiding, and really attacking what you're avoiding. Because let's be honest, we got stuff to do. We got better things to do than avoid these things. We got to get on to the good stuff of life. Making ice cream with grandma. Am I right or am I right? So, number three, the long term cost of playing it safe. Now, we're halfway through this episode, and I want to stop and I just want to take a little moment, real quick. Um, when I was writing these notes and I was thinking about what I was going to say in today's episode, I'm almost writing this episode for myself, weirdly enough, because this is something that I'm actively battling with in my own world. I used to post vlogs. There was a time where I would post gaming videos multiple times a day. I'd post vlogs multiple times a week. I'd have full length vlogs, twice a week. I'd have gaming videos every week, right? And unfortunately, it wasn't sustainable for me, right? But I've noticed that I fell victim to comfort. And this is a podcast. This podcast is an effort to dissuade everyone from choosing comfort and to inspire myself at the end of the day to return to the flame, to return to the fire. And Chris and I talked about this a while back. And I love this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It like reframed my whole life. And I really love that book. And I read it. I read it twice. And then I read it 3 times. And I thought I was good. I thought I was done. I have the knowledge. I'm good. And then I started to weaken. This wasn't over a period of weeks or months, but this was a period of over years, right? I started to lose my edge again. And I thought that, well, I was strong. What happened? What happened? I was as sharp as a tack. I used to be Batman, I say, right? I used to be Batman. Now I'm Batman's dad. Like, what the heck happened? What sucks about it is that you have to continually put yourself in the fire, not monthly, not yearly, not weekly, daily, hourly, minute by minute. You're not getting better. You are getting worse. And that is the sad fact of it all. I don't want you guys to live with regret. I don't want to die with regret. I don't want to live with regret. I want to go till the tank is empty. I want to drain this sucker, right? I want to live a great life, and I want you to live a great life. Point number 3 is the long-term cost of playing it safe. We've all done this. Delayed regret over immediate pain is the kind of header for this one. So comfort doesn't hurt today. It hurts later. It hurts quietly. Shrinking risk tolerance, reducing adaptability, increased fear responses, and identity erosion. I'm just not that kind of person. But the big thinker, like Friedrich Nietzsche once said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Comfort removes the why. Discomfort clarifies it. Money hint. Most financial anxiety, it truly isn't about money. It's about self-trust. I don't trust myself to handle the volatility. I don't trust myself to spend this, spend that, do this, do that. Action builds trust. If you take anything away from today's episode, please remember that action builds trust. So let's get into our actionable exercise for this section, not for the episode, because we got multiple sections in this episode. If nothing changes for 5 years, what does my life look like? This question was posed to me an hour ago, weirdly enough, but it was on the 1-year time span. It was like, what would you do if you were sitting in the exact same spot and it was 2027? And I was like, dude, I'd probably find a tall building. I'm like, I don't want to be where I'm at. Once you have those answers, what discomfort today would change that trajectory? Number 4, discipline versus comfort, the identity battle. Discipline isn't willpower. I know it's dressed up as it sometimes, but it truly isn't. It's identity alignment. Comfort says, what feels good now? Discipline asks, who am I becoming? Aristotle once said, we are what we repeatedly do. Not what we intend, not what we know, what we repeat. From I need comfort to function to I grow stronger through challenges. Do you understand the identity shift there? So let me ask you one question. A capable person does blank even when it's uncomfortable. Do that. Whatever your blank is in your world, do that. Capable person does blank even when it's uncomfortable. Number 5, replacing the comfort with intentional discomfort. This goes against everything you're going to feel. Make discomfort small and schedule it. The core idea here is that you don't need to be dramatic in your suffering. You need to control the resistance. Micro challenges, small financial discipline, learning while uncertain, and acting before confidence. That last one is so, so, so key. Act before you are ready. You are going to make mistakes, and that is okay. We are all just animals on a spinning rock in nothingness, and nothingness is expanding, right? It's not that serious. It's not that deep. Okay. Act before you have the full confidence. You're going to learn more as you continue to go through the process. Do not let fear control your lives. James Clear has a quote on this that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Now, I want to expand on this and say that every action counts, whether it's seen or unseen. Every action, whether that's in the opposite or whether that's in the negative or in the positive direction, it counts. It all counts, all of it. If you stop brushing your teeth, right, it counts towards the person you're trying to be. Whether you start brushing your teeth more, it counts, right? Whether you do it once a day or twice a day, it all counts, right? And that's a small goal for someone, right? But I want to continue with this. So comfort votes for familiarity. Comfort votes for familiarity. Discomfort votes for capacity. We are trying to expand our capacity to what we believe we can do, what we know we can do, and what we dream we can do. I want us to expand more and more and more, not yearly, not quarterly, not monthly, daily. I want us to expand. Here's our weekly framework: one discomfort, one skill, one delayed gratification. That's this section's framework or action step, technically. But yeah. So that is number 5. I hope you're taking notes on this. I hope you're taking detailed notes, but more than notes, I hope you're taking action on it. We say it damn near every podcast. Entertainment. Hold on. I'm going to get it. Education without action is just entertainment. I love for you to be entertained, but I love for you to take action. And this is closing reflections, so you can get on with your life and take those grand actions I know you can take. Comfort is not the enemy. The life you want, more capable, more confident, more free, requires behaviors that feel unnatural at first. That's not punishment. That's just the entry fee. So for our final question of the week, what discomfort are you avoiding that your future self is begging you to face? We all have one or many. So please write down these action steps and execute on them. In fact, I'm going to be generous and I'm going to go through every action step let's just do it. We'll do every action step, every question. That way, if you weren't taking notes, I'll say all of them right here, right now. So for section 1, the action step was identify one low risk discomfort to practice this week, whether that's a hard conversation, a new habit, a new skill, or delayed gratification. For number 2, the action step was, what am I postponing? Before choosing comfort, ask yourself, what discomfort am I postponing? If you don't name it, comfort wins automatically. Section number 3, the long-term cost of playing it safe. The action step or the question for the listener is, if nothing changes for 5 years, what does your life look like? Then ask, what discomfort today would change that trajectory? Number 4, a capable person does blank, even when it's uncomfortable. Then do that once a week. Number 5 is weekly framework. Choose one discomfort, one new skill, and one delayed gratification. Sounds a little bit more time. And number 6, this is our closing remarks for today's episode. What discomfort are you avoiding that your future self is begging you to face? I hope you face it with such ferocity of a lion. I'm excited for your potential. I'm excited to see where you can go. And I'm excited for you to conquer everything you wish to conquer in this life and inspire as many people as you can along the way, just like Chris and I hope to do with every episode. And if you made it this far, please share this episode with someone, because Everyone needs to hear this message. My name is Dominic James. This is the Fi Guys podcast, and I'll see you guys back here on Monday's episode. Later, guys. Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.